Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the How to Choose Happiness and Freedom Show. I'm your host, Lauren Foster, happiness teacher and author of Happy and Free on Purpose, Daily Practices to Live and Love Your Life. And I want to make my dog Lacey a star in the process of spreading joy throughout this world. I am so happy that you're here today. I'm so excited for my guest. This is a very unusual guest for this podcast and maybe a different direction that we're going to go all together. But Neeley Dopp is 17 years old, and she's the founder of Neeley's Chronic Joy Foundation. Neeley suffers from a chronic illness and is on a mission to help other children to not be defined by their disease and not let their illness and their pain define them. So welcome, Neeley.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I make it kind of a point not to find out too awfully much about my guest beforehand so me and my listeners can all learn about you together. So I'm very happy to meet you. Tell us your story.
Yeah, so when I was 13 years old, I was your average teenager. I ran track. I loved hanging out with my friends on the weekend, doing everything all teenagers love to do. And one morning, I mysteriously woke up sick. And ever since that day, I still have not gotten better. And I went to over 15 specialists just trying to figure out what was wrong. I went through a period where I couldn't go to school most days. I couldn't do fun things with my friends. And I honestly suffered from a really deep depression. And so I decided I needed to find a way out. And that is where I started Neeley's Chronic Joy Foundation to help other kids like me.
So what is the diagnosis? Is it something that, or do you just still not know?
Yeah, so it took a long time to figure out exactly what was going on, but we finally found out I have a chronic illness called postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which is a mouthful.
It
They
is.
call it POTS for short, but basically it affects my autonomic nervous system. So that's everything from breathing, heart rate, blood pressure, digestion, temperature, just, affects so many things and affects my everyday life.
Everything. And there's not a cure.
No, there's no cure, and there's really no medication that they've found specifically for it either.
Okay, so all you can do is manage your symptoms and manage your life.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you sent me a really great list of questions that will really help to guide our conversation. So, well, but maybe we'll go out of order. Let's talk about when you decided to start your foundation and how you went about that and how exactly that's going and what that looks like.
Yeah, so I kind of just talking to my mom one day, we just had the idea, when I was looking for something that would bring me purpose that I could do, even despite my illness. And so we decided to start it. And I thought, let's go big. Let's not just make this some little thing. So we became a 501c3 and, went through everything with that. It took about a year to get everything in line and figure it all out. And at that point, so I guess I'll explain a little bit about what we do. So we help kids with chronic illness between the ages of 3 to 18, and we provide them with an activity they can do despite their illness. So say they want to learn to play the piano, we would provide them with the piano and lessons to be able to learn that. And then we provide them with some other fun things and needed items. And then their families often really struggle financially. And so we provide them with basic needs, whether that be clothing or groceries or help in paying medical bills, anything that can help the parents focus on their child rather than the financial stresses they face.
Okay, so any child from 3 to 18 that is suffering from a chronic illness can come to you and you will help them to find a way to put joy and purpose back into their life. That's the idea. All right, so
Yes, for
and
sure.
so they could want to ride horses or play the piano or play hockey or just anything that How exactly does that work? Do you have partnerships with businesses, or describe a little bit more about how that works and how people listening might be able to help other than, the obvious donating money.
Yeah. So we work with each child specifically to figure out what exactly they can do despite their illness, and what we can do to make that adaptive for them. And once we found that out, we look through our partnerships. We do have several people that are willing to donate time or a portion of the time for lessons or that different activity. So that is super helpful for us, as well as, if we can't find anyone to cover that, then we'll obviously use other donations. But we are always looking for people of all ages that teach, music lessons, art lessons, horse riding lessons, really anything. And that's what's awesome is we've really branched out and done everything that each individual child would like to do.
Okay. And so are the children that you serve local to you, or are they worldwide or nationwide, or what is the reach?
Yeah, so we are based in Arizona, and so we primarily help a lot of kids here, but we do branch out and help kids all over the country as well.
Okay, awesome. Well, you and I are going to talk a little bit more about that after we're finished with the official recording. Because I can think of meditation lessons and all kinds of ways that there's a lot of teachers out there that are teaching how to live your life on purpose, like I am, and I know that they would be willing to help. So, one of the things that you asked in your list was that, and I so love this, if you could go back and not have this illness, would you?
Oh, that I love that question, because some days when I'm really sick and laying in bed, I'm like, oh my gosh, just take it away. But when I really sit down and think of it, I think that all it has brought into my life and my nonprofit has been something, it's my purpose now. And having this illness, although I don't let it define me, it has literally given me everything I have in my life. It has helped me to be a better person, to be able to find joy and to be able to learn those lessons and learn that there is joy even despite my illness. So I mean, I can't imagine what my life would be like without it. And so really I would never go back and take that away, because I know this is where I'm supposed to be and this is the life I'm supposed to be living.
Right. I love that. And I hope that anyone who is suffering with any kind of struggle or challenge like chronic illness or any of the other myriad challenges that life presents to us, to find the gift like Neeley did in this situation. And I was talking with someone recently. There's a book, and I don't even know who wrote it, but it's called We're the Lucky Ones. I think it's talking about people who have addictions that have recovered from them, but their life is so much richer because of that experience, and bringing all of that to the next phase of their life and finding joy in a different way than if there weren't any big challenges, right?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I think that I think that's where the most joy can be found and we can become the best version of ourselves, is when we go through something hard.
Right. Right. And that a hero's journey, right? Where you overcome your obstacles and you face your challenges with bravery and heart. Yeah. I like it very much. All right. So what is that? I have always been an incredibly healthy person. I'm so blessed for that. So what is it like to live your life with a chronic illness that there is no end in sight? And what is life like?
Yeah, so I think it's really interesting because, well, several of the children we help are born with a chronic illness, and then there's others like me who, just wake up one day or slowly get sick. And so I'm in a unique perspective where I know what life is like without it, and so it makes it that much harder to know what I'm missing. And and it's different every day. It's really difficult. It's having to worry about everything. It's the center of everything I do. I like to share there's a story about, it's called the spoon theory, that goes around with us chronic illness warriors. And long story short, basically we each have a set amount of spoons each day, and sometimes that amount varies, But so say you have 12 spoons in a day. Well, things as simple as brushing your teeth, taking a shower, just getting out of bed, getting dressed, those each take a spoon. And so before you're even out of your house, you've used 6 spoons, and now you only have 6 for the rest of the day. And so it limits everything you do. It's your every thought, and it's all consuming, and it can always be different, but it's something you always have to think about, and that's constantly on your mind.
All right. But clearly you do. Clearly you are able to take your focus off of your illness and your pain and put it on joy. So describe how you do that and how that works.
Yeah, it's hard. There's some days are a lot harder than others.
Mhm.
It's not easy when you're like, I'm really sick. I'm going to be so happy. It's not always the easiest thing to do, but sometimes I like just focusing on the little things. So little things I'm grateful for. I have a little journal that I usually write in when I'm having a particularly hard time, and I'll just write 3 things that I'm grateful for. And that can be something as, I'm thankful I have a house to live in. And sometimes that's the biggest thing I can think of, or just little things like that, just appreciating what you do have and just looking hard. Sometimes it's harder than other days, but just looking at what you do have rather than focusing on what you don't have, I guess.
Yeah, I love it. And that's the perfect answer and the perfect solution to everyone, really, because there's a big difference between being in pain and despair and being in pain and hope. And so if you can always lean in that direction of hope, then life is so much better, right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
totally agree.
Right. All right. So what are the long-term goals of your foundation and your future?
Yeah, so to date, we have helped probably about 35 kids, and I want this to grow every year. Just this year alone, well, I guess I should say next year in 2022, we are planning to help just 24 kids that year, and I hope that's just going to continue to grow. I want every kid in Arizona, every kid in the US to know that they're not alone, to know that they can find joy, and to know that they do have a purpose, even though they're struggling with something that's so hard. I want them to know that there is more outside of that, and I want them to be able to find that. So I hope to just continuously be growing that, and so we can help as many kids as possible. And I want this to be my job in the future. I'm currently going to school right now for a business degree to do just that and learn the skills necessary. And so I think that's cool that I've been able to turn it. It's more than just a hobby. It's really something that I'd like to continue growing my whole life.
I love that very much. All right. So wherever you're listening to or watching this video or listening to the podcast, if you look down in the show notes, I'll give you all the links that we're talking about and all of the ways that you can get in touch with Neeley and learn more about her foundation and ways that you can help. But for those people who are driving along in their car, explain how we, the listeners of this show, can help in
Yeah,
your.
I think like you mentioned, one of the best ways is to go follow our social media accounts or check out our website, because we have so many different ways there that are unique for everyone. We've Something that we really like is being able to have the community reach out. We want to provide them with opportunities that they can do just that. So we have lots of opportunities for everyone, no matter your age, your skill level, talents, abilities. And so if you want to check out neeleys.chronicjoy.com, you can find everything there. And it's just, there's so many different things. And we really love all the help of, like I said, any age and any ability, everyone can help.
Okay, awesome. Well, I just admire you so much, Neeley. I love your outlook. I love your purpose. I love that you are refusing to be defined by this condition and making your life the way you want it anyway. And I'm just honored to have had you on the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be here.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to add before we sign off?
Um, I think I would just like to say to everyone that if you're going through something really hard, or you probably will at some point in your life, that there is joy to be found. One of my favorite things is there is joy to be found in the journey, and there really is in every journey. So just keep looking, even when it's hard, and you'll be able to find your way through.
Awesome. Perfect. A perfect way to end our interview. Thank you so much again, Neeley. And
Thank
for
you.
everybody else, we'll be back again next week with another great guest. In the meantime, remember, happiness is a choice. You can always choose to be happy first. I'll see you next week.